One of the biggest things you hear about today in sources such as the media and on social media and in different inner circles and social circles and political circles is the idea of inequality and privilege and trying to make things a more level playing field. And it's very human for us to look at these things and say, I wish the world could be a more fair place and everyone could be on an equal playing field. But when you look at things from a spiritual perspective, you start to understand why things are the way they are. And you have to understand that in the spirit realm, in heaven, things are the way they are here on earth by design. It's not random, it's not a coincidence, it's all purposeful. And the reason, what it all amounts to is spiritual development. And we are all not in the same place when it comes to developing spiritually. When it comes to life, a lot of people spend their entire lives trying to find out what the meaning of life is. And there have been scholars and academics and philosophers and religious leaders all throughout time trying to answer that question. What is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is not complicated. It's actually quite simple. The meaning of life is growth. You are here to learn and to grow. We all come into this life with soul missions, objectives that we have to accomplish, and when we accomplish them, we're done here. And these different soul objectives are based on where we are in our development. Now, in this life, there are new spirits and there are older spirits. And all types of spirits in my book can be broken down into 4 tiers. And I'm going to go over what those 4 tiers are. There's actually a 5th tier too, but the 5th tier, there's not many who are in the 5th tier. I'll go over that as well. But all spirits on this earth can be broken down into 4 tiers. You have your tier 1 spirits, which are your new spirits. These new spirits, they don't know much about life. They don't know much about being here. And what new spirits are learning how to do is survive. Where you find newer spirits the most is in third world countries and in poorer areas of first world countries. And if you look at what life is about in those third world countries, it's all about survival. It's all about having a roof over your head, food on your plate. It's about tribalism or communalism. And more importantly, it's just about staying alive. And that's why in these third world countries you see so much war, is because there is a notion of kill or be killed. There's genocides that happen in these third world countries. It is all about, it's all about survival. And that's why these are such poor conditioned areas, and these people, they're not dealing with the things that a lot of other spirits are dealing with, because they are newer and they are just learning the basics. They are learning how to survive in this world. As you move on from the newer spirits, you go from tier 1 into what I call the tier 2 spirits. Tier 2 spirits are the opposite of tier 1 spirits, but they're still learning close to the same things. Survival. Only now you have where the tier 2, unlike the tier 1 spirits who were poor, the tier 2 spirits are rich. And they are more obsessed with power. Because power, when you're rich and you have lots of money, you have power. And you can control people. And controlling people and having that money is survival. But now you're learning it from a different angle. You're learning it from the perspective of prosperity. And a lot of times these tier 2 spirits are people like your Hollywood actors and actresses and your politicians. You find them where you find positions of power. And they are learning to evolve into the tier 3 type spirits. But they're still in that survival mode, so it's a difficult thing for them to move past that. But when they do get there, they get into what I call the tier 3 spirits, which are spirits that they have money, they know they need money to survive and to get by in this world, but it's not as much about survival anymore. Now you have more deeper connections, you have charity, you have doing things for others. You're spreading out and learning more about life. There's more responsibility. Because you've learned the survival patterns. This is an example. This is, in my opinion, most people, a majority of people in first world countries are in tier 3. Because they are your middle class and your working class. They are people who know how to survive already. But they're branching out. They're learning more. They're learning more about life. It's not just all about survival of the fittest anymore, so to speak. And then finally you have, excuse me again, finally what you have is your tier 4 spirits. Your tier 4 spirits are people who are no longer concerned about money. They're no longer concerned even about themselves. They are totally in servitude to other people. And some examples of tier 4 spirits are people like Mother Teresa and Gandhi. Those would be your tier 4 spirits who are totally focused on the well-being of others and not so much themselves. Now there is a tier 5 branch, if you want to say. I call that the Ascended Masters. But your Ascended Masters, what are they? Those are people like Jesus and Buddha. Those are people who are in a whole other tier. And there's not many people in that tier 5, which is why I don't really consider the Ascended Master level to be part of the tier system. I just usually tiers 1 through 4, and then you move on from there. But the point is that we are all learning different things in these different tiers. And this is why you have a world of inequality. You can't have equality in this world. If we all started on the same footing in the same place, we would all get stuck together. It would negate the purpose of being here in the first place, which is growth. If you've ever noticed in life when you get stuck or when you have a problem, you may be there for a season, but eventually what happens is somebody comes across your path and just happens to have the solution to your problem. I don't know if any of you have ever noticed that. I've noticed that in my own life. There's always somebody eventually who comes across your path who has knowledge that you don't have and helps you to get through whatever it is you're facing. And that's because they've been through it already. And now they can help somebody else who's going through it as well. You see, there is growth in helping people. Part of life is receiving blessings from others and giving blessings to others. And what people don't understand is that there is growth in both being a blessing and receiving a blessing. And helping others amounts to growth. Everything you do in life, whether it be good or bad, you name it, anything, it all amounts to growth. And this is why you have unequal footings. Excuse me. This is why you have some people who are less fortunate than others, and others who are more fortunate than others. There's growth. There's growth in being poor. There's growth in being rich. Money is a blessing and a curse, and you have to be responsible with it. So by design, life is unequal beginnings and unequal endings. And you will never have a world in which there is true equality, because the spirit realm will make sure that it does not happen. We are here to grow. And we are all in different places, in different spots in our development. One day, in a future incarnation, the poorest people on earth will be the richest people on earth. And one day they will be in first world countries, and they will be the middle class, and they will be the next Mother Teresa's. But it's a process. And it's even a process for the well-off to take care of, to give charity and to be kind to those not well-off. And believe it or not, the not well-off people have lessons and growth that they can teach the well-off. But it's understandable and very human for us to look at these situations and say, that's not fair. Everybody should be equal. And it's very human to think that. But it's not spiritual to think that. Spirituality and spiritualism and the whole purpose for being here is about growth. And we're all here to help each other. And if we all started on the same place, we'd get stuck together. Because we wouldn't have anybody who knew how to get through it. Or to get through a difficulty. So, there's enough, when it comes to these issues, part of the growth of dealing with this is learning to be a blessing to others. And there's enough negativity in the world today to where people know what's going on. People aren't stupid. People know that there's less well-off people and more well-off people. And I think we need to be, as a culture and as a people, we need to be less concerned about pointing out inequality and less concerned about pointing out privilege and things that you can't really change, and be more concerned about providing solutions. Because if you're just complaining about inequality and privilege, then you're just adding to the negativity of the world. You're adding to the problems. Start talking about solutions. Start talking about how you worked Thanksgiving to provide meals to people. How you volunteered with your church to, help the less fortunate. Start putting out solutions to problems. That's what makes the world a more positive place. And that's what Spirit wants to see you do. They don't want to see you complaining and pointing out things that everybody already knows about. They want to see how you react and how you make the world a better place. Because at the end of your life, when they ask you, what did you do for your fellow man when you stand in judgment, you're not going to be able to say, well, I pointed out a video on social media about inequality or privilege, and I did that. Well, that's not going to matter. They're going to say, okay, well, what did you do about it? What did you do about it, sir? What did you do about it, ma'am? What did you do about it? Well, I pointed it out. Not going to work. That's not going to work when you stand before your Creator. What did you do for your fellow man? Okay, if you think there's privilege and you think there's inequality, what did you do about it? I started these videos because I wanted to do my part in the way that I could to make the world a better place. By talking about spirituality, by giving people a new perspective to think, by creating some health videos. I have information. Well, you're just making videos, Ryan. Well, yeah. Information is power. There's people who pay millions of dollars for information. And I'm just giving it away because I feel that that's something I should do. So, in short, if we point out problems in the world, let's point out solutions, because those solutions will make the world a better place. They will lead to growth. You will grow. Somebody else will grow. That's the point of existence. That's the lesson of life. That's the meaning of life. Growth. Solutions. Helping one another out. Let's start being the miracle to others. And let's stop complaining about things that we can't do anything about. They're by design, but they're by design to make you rise to the occasion. So be the blessing. And I know you can be the blessing. Each and every one of us has something so unique and so special to offer. And so do you. All right? Take care, guys.